So I just wanted to give a couple quick picks on the Waterson Hill card. First off, we've got Anthony Ivy versus Brian Barberina. Anthony Ivy, he's dangerous, got good power, especially in the first round. Good striking overall. Doesn't really take shots well though. Doesn't seem to have much heart. And Brian Barberina, he gets better as the fight goes on. He's got a lot more experience, and at a higher level, he's got a lot of heart. Doesn't really have power. He needs to put the volume on people, but he's gritty and he'll get him hurt. He got good dirty boxing and elbows. And how Brian Barberina wins, I think he walks Ivy down, makes the fight a scrap. I think he'll hit Ivy with something hard. Ivy will shell up against the cage, and then he'll get picked apart with some hooks, elbows, and uppercuts. Next fight I want to break down is Brock Weaver versus Frank Camacho. Starting off with Brock Weaver, he's got very basic striking, terrible defense, not really any grappling. He doesn't really have any power, not many KOs. Has a lot of close fights with some terrible fighters, with some terrible records. The only really redeeming factor he has is his heart, and even then he's been taking a lot of damage. Then starting off with Frank Camacho, I think he's better everywhere. He can win anyway. He's much more decorated than the BJJ, but he doesn't really go for the submissions at all. He likes the KOs, and he has a lot of them. Nice body kicks, very strong overall. I think he can really win any way possible, but I think he'll go out there, get in a brawl, which might be a little risky. Either way, though, I don't think he has to worry too much about the power, so I see him going in there and finishing Brock Weaver by KO in round 1. So now I want to talk about Alan Patrick versus Bobby Green. I'm going to say this right off the bat. I think Bobby Green takes this one pretty easily. Alan Patrick hasn't fought in 2 years, and when he did fight last, he fought against Scott Holtzman and got KO'd by a guy who doesn't really KO anyone. That's not a very good sign. And I think his only path to victory is through the grappling. And I think Bobby Green has some underrated defensive grappling. I think he'll be able to. Roosevelt Roberts versus Matt Frevola. I've got Matt Frevola all day. I think Roberts, he's got some good submissions, but not very good wrestling. And I think that's where Frevola really shines. And I don't think Roberts will have the striking to keep him off of him. And I think you either need to be really dangerous on the feet or have some lethal submissions. And I just don't think Roberts has that. I just see Frevola grinding him out for 15 minutes. The only way I can really see Roberts winning is hurting him, and then either TKOing him and submitting him after just getting a nice clean punch or something. But besides that, I think Frevola takes this 30-27. This one's going to be pretty quick. Julia Avila versus Jara Eubanks. I think Avila's a tank, and I think Eubanks gasses hard. It'll probably be competitive in the first, but Avila will take over, win the last 2 rounds. Matt Schnell versus Tyson Nam. First off, I just want to say, Matt Schnell, I think he has all the skills to beat Tyson Nam. He's much better on the ground. He's really dangerous with the submissions. He's got decent striking, but that chin is just way too suspect to trust. And he just has some bad defense too. And not to mention he's fighting one of the hardest hitting flyweights in the world. I want Schnell to win. I really think he can, but I don't see this going any other way besides Tyson Nam knocking him out in the first. Billy Quarantillo versus Kyle Nelson. I think Billy Quarantillo takes this. I think Kyle Nelson, he's strong in the first. He's pretty powerful, dangerous, but I think if Quarantillo can weather that storm, I think he's much better on the ground. A good black belt. I think he'll get him with a rear naked choke in round 2. Ed Herman versus Mike Rodriguez. Alright, first off, I just want to say, Mike Rodriguez does not have the best defensive grappling at all. I think he's got some pretty bad wrestling, and I think Ed Herman can definitely get some takedowns. And I really only see Rodriguez's one path to victory being a knockout, and that's pretty hard to do. Ed Herman's scrappy. He's good in the clinch. I think he can make this a dogfight. He'll probably get him down, probably submit him. I'd actually think that if he really wants to, he'll get him out in the first. But if not, he'll get him out. Andrea Lee versus Roxanne Modafferi. I don't really want to see this fight. It's going to be very boring, but regardless, I think nrlys, she has decent takedown defense, pretty good grappling. And I think that's the only way Modafferi can win, is taking her down, or at least holding her against the cage, which I think she'll have a hard time doing. I think that as long as she can not get held up against the cage, as if she can have some urgency and circle off, keep it in the middle, she should be able to just pick Roxanne apart and win the fight that way. So co-main event time, we've got Kama Worthy versus Otman Izatar. I think Kama Worthy, I think he's a pretty composed striker. He's got some good power, good counters, and as we saw in his last fight, decent submission, although he can get controlled on the ground, but I don't think Izatar is really that much of a threat to do that. Izatar, he's a brawler. He likes to come in there, swing wildly. He's KO'd a lot of guys, but he hasn't really fought too many people of note. I think Kama Worthy will be able to be patient, weather the first round. I think he'll be able to catch him with something late, hurt him, maybe submit him, probably knock him out. But I've got Kama Worthy. I'm not too sure though, because Kama Worthy's been knocked out a couple times. This is probably my least confident pick. I've been back and forth, but I'm gonna go with Kama Worthy for the overall experience. He's fought better guys, beat better guys, lost to better guys, just overall had even more UFC experience and everything. I think all signs lead to Kama Worthy, and also he's only been KO'd at 145, except I think by Paul Felder in like one of his first few fights, if I'm correct. Alright, this fight, we've got the main event with Michelle Waterson and Angela Hill. At first I was leaning Angela Hill, mostly because I thought she was kind of riding momentum, but then I realized she was coming off a loss, and the wins she had were against not very good competition. And I think Michelle Waterson, I think she's beat the better competition overall and just fought the better competition. Angela Hill, when she's had those big steps up, she mostly lost them. I don't really see a path to victory for Angela Hill, especially over 5 rounds. I think Michelle Waterson will get her down. She gets most of her opponents down. I think she'll probably get a submission late in round 4 or 5. Most likely rear naked choke, I'd say. I just wanted to come on here real quick to give a few thoughts on the card. I know I didn't talk about the first fight. I think Matzo wins, but that fight's just going to suck, so I don't really care to talk about it. But besides that, if you're watching this, comment what you think of my picks. Comment your picks. Let me know what you think. Like the video or don't. I don't really care. I just want to let my picks be out there. You can check my picks on Tapology too. It's nrlys, nrlys, same thing as my YouTube. And yeah, that's it.